So the goal of the Upschool course is to take your idea and turn it into sales. That's a very quantifiable and measurable goal. If you don't achieve sales within 4 weeks, then, we haven't achieved our goal of getting you to that point. It's all about finding a paying customer. And what makes this course different to a number of the other courses out there is we're going to do this within 4 weeks. 4 weeks, you say, well, that sounds a little bit crazy. Sounds a little bit scary. Sure is. But you've got to remember that being an entrepreneur, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So we're going to get a little bit uncomfortable. And I'm a great believer that nothing really happens until you commit. So if you commit to a 4-week launch, you'll make it happen. If you're an entrepreneur, you'll work out the details. You'll find out how it's going to happen. If you start thinking about, well, I can't do this and I can't do that, it's going to take years. If you gave yourself 4 years, you'll still be preparing to launch in 40 months from now. The good news is that today, 4 weeks is enough to get something out to the market that somebody would pay you money for. The key here is speed. The sooner you can launch the product, the sooner you can make it better, because the sooner you launch, the sooner you learn. Until that point, nothing happens in business. Until you have a paying customer, you don't have a business. So the motto of the Upschool course is launch first, launch fast. Let me explain what that means. Launch first. Launching your product is the first thing that we're going to do. It's the forefront of our planning and activity. It's the most important thing. And going back to the bike analogy again, you can't teach riding a bike from a book. You've got to get on the saddle. So that's like launch first. It's a little bit scary, but you've got to do it. Otherwise, we ain't going to move forward. You've got to take those stabilizers, those training wheels off so you can actually learn. Launch fast, well, we want this to be as lean as possible and avoid all the unnecessary steps so we can get to the customer as fast as we can. So the good news is that if you take traditional business planning, and there's a lot of things that go into traditional business planning that we can cut out, almost 90% of it. We can cut out 90% of that traditional business planning so you can squash that process right down into 4 weeks. And that's what we're going to achieve with the 4-week Upschool course. Think of it like learning a language. Now, before I moved to Japan, I spent 2 years studying Japanese from college textbooks. 2 years, intensely. And guess what? As soon as I got here, everything I knew was blown away. People didn't really speak like that. And the kind of Japanese that I had in my head from reading textbooks and listening to the audio and the real world were very, very different. So 2 years is a really inefficient use of my time and your time on any skill. If you think about it, people think, well, you need to take 2 years to learn a language. You don't. I learned more in 2 weeks speaking to real Japanese people in real life situations than I did in 2 years. So what does that say about business planning? It says there's a lot of fluff we can cut out. So you can apply this to anything that you learn, that requires you to take a skill and test it in the wild. Tennis, making a movie, or baking a cake. The best way to improve is to start. And that same theory applies to your business as well. So some of you may be a little bit nervous about launching a business so fast, but let me share this with you. It's much better to start with 1% of the journey now than wait until you have the perfect moment to launch. There will never be a perfect moment. So some people may be thinking, yeah, I'll do this when I got time, or I'll do this when I pay off my loan, or I'll do this when the market changes. It ain't going to happen. The time to start is now.